views and opinions expressed on this show are that of the host do not represent the views of Felony in Progress or Sunday Large. This program also contains strong language and is not intended for listeners under the age of 18. If you are offended by what is said here today, then it must mean that you are an asshole. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Hello everyone and welcome to Open Air Sonar. I am Tony, your host, and truthfully I'm a bit saddened that I have to do this episode at all, so I'm going to get right to the point, and I'm also going to skip the email today and say this episode is for the people of the Ukraine who are undergoing something completely horrific. So I'm going to give you my anti-war song show. So this episode is dedicated to the good people of the Ukraine that are suffering because of man's greed and thirst for power and control. I have friends and co-workers from Ukraine, and I can only imagine the hurt that they're feeling right now, and my heart goes out to these folks. And so I know there's really isn't a lot I can do about this because I fucking hate war anyway, but at least I can play you a song and maybe share some goodwill. So let's get to it, shall we? The first song I have for you was originally written and recorded in 1901, but the Library of Congress has a wax tube and the sound is extremely degraded and basically really hard to listen to. So here is the Vernon Dallart cut from 1927. This is I'll Be With You When the Roses Bloom Again. This is Open Air Sonar.
They are roaming in the gloaming where the roses are in bloom. Just a soldier and his sweetheart, staunch and true. But her heart is filled with sorrow, and her thoughts are of the morrow, as she pins a rose upon his coat of blue. Do not ask me, love, to linger, for you know not what you say. When my duty calls, my sweetheart's voice is vain. But your heart need not be sighing, if I'm not among the dying. I'll be with you when the roses bloom again. When the roses bloom again beside the river, and the robin redbreast sings his sweet refrain, as in days of auld lang syne, I'll be with you, sweetheart mine. I'll be with you when the roses bloom again. Mid the rattle of the battle comes a whisper soft and low, for a soldier boy has fallen in the fray. I am dying, Captain, dying, and I know that I must go, but I want your promise ere I pass away. There's a far and distant river where the roses bloom so fair. There's a maiden who is waiting all in vain. it is there I'd have you take me. I've been faithful, don't forsake me. I must be there when the roses bloom again. When the roses bloom again beside the river, and the robin redbreast sings his sweet refrain. As in days of old lang syne, I'll be with you, sweetheart mine. I'll be with you when the roses bloom again.
That was the 1927 cut of I'll Be With You When the Roses Bloom Again. You know, it was first penned in 1900 by Will D. Cobb and Gus Edwards, with the content of the tune, you know, a soldier must leave his girl, so she pins a rose on his breast, and he promises he will be with her again when the roses bloom again. So, but hence he is killed in battle and can only ask the captain to inform his girl of his situation. So, it's a little bit of a downer, but, you know, it sounds like a Civil War song. But given the era when Cobb and Edwards worked together, one must assume that it was inspired by the Spanish-American War. But Evans recording Budded Roses here, but with misgivings. For one thing, it makes no mention of the man being a soldier, but, you know, it fits well. So, all right, people, let's move on to our next cry for peace, shall we? So this is the Dubliners with their 1968 cut of Ms. McGrath. Don't watch the news, people. It'll only depress you. This is Open Air Sonar.
Right, Brian. Mrs. McGrath, the sergeant said, would you like to make a soldier of your son, Ted? With a scarlet coat and a big cocked hat. Then, Mrs. McGrath, wouldn't you like that with me too, Raya? Political-a, me too, Raya. Political-a, well, Mrs. McGrath lived by the seashore for the space of 7 long years or more, till she saw a big ship sailing into the bay. Here's my son Ted, will you clear the way with me to Raya? Political-a, me to Raya. Political-a, Captain dear, and where have you been? Have you been in the Mediterranean? Will you tell me the news of my son Ted? There's a poor lad living there, where is he dead? With me to Raya, Political-a, me to Raya, Political-a, well, up comes Ted, without any legs, and in their place he had 2 wooden pegs. Well, she kissed him a dozen times or 2, saying, glory be to God, sure it couldn't be you. With me to Raya, Political-a, me to Raya, Political-a, then were you drunk, or were you blind? But you left your 2 fine legs behind? Or was it while walking on the sea, a big fish at your legs from the knees away? With me to Raya, Political-a, me to Raya, Political-a, well, I wasn't drunk, and I wasn't blind, and I left me 2 fine legs behind. But a big cannonball on the 5th of May throw me 2 fine legs from the knees away. With me to Raya, Political-a, me to Raya, Political-a, Teddy me by the bow with a cried, now your 2 fine legs were your mammy's pride. Them old stumps of a tree wouldn't do at all. Mush a wide and you run for the big cannonball. With me to Raya, Political-a, me to Raya, Political-a, well, all foreign wars I do proclaim between Don Juan, the King of Spain, and beheadings I'll make them around the time that they shot their legs from a child of mine. With me to Raya, Political-a, me to Raya, Political-a,
That was the Dubliners with Mrs. McGrath. Typically an Irish folk song set during the Peninsular War of the early 19th century, the song tells the story of a woman whose son enters the British Army and returns 7 years later having lost his legs to a cannonball while fighting against Napoleon, presumably at the Battle of Fuentes de Horno, but between the 3rd and 5th of May of 1811. The general theme of the song is one of opposition to war, along with Johnny I Hardly Knew Ye. It's one of the most graphic of all Irish folk songs that deal with sickness and injuries caused by warfare. And the Dubliners were no spring innocent babies either. They sang a lot of songs about nationalist IRA and that kind of thing. But it's a catchy song and it gets the point across. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our next song now. What do we got here? Let me see what I got for you. This one will work. I have Barry McGuire's 1965 cut of Eve of Destruction. Stick around, people. This is Open Air Sonar.
The Eastern world, it is exploding, violence flaring, bullets loading. You're old enough to kill, but not for voting. You don't believe in war, but what's that gun you're toting? And even the Jordan River has bodies floating. But you tell me over and over and over again, my friend, you don't believe we're on the eve of destruction. Don't you understand what I'm trying to say? Can't you feel the fears I'm feeling today? If the button is pushed, there's no running away. There'll be no one to save with the world in a grave. Take a look around you, boy. It's bound to scare you, boy. And you tell me over and over and over again, my friend, you don't believe we're on the eve of destruction. Yeah, my blood's so mad, feels like coagulating. I'm sitting here just contemplating. I can't twist the truth, it knows no regulation. Handful of senators don't pass legislation, and marches alone can't bring integration. When human respect is disintegrating, this whole crazy world is just too frustrating. And you tell me over and over and over again, my friend, you don't believe we're on the eve of destruction. Think of all the hate there is in Red China, then take a look around to Selma, Alabama. You may leave here for 4 days in space, but when you return, it's the same old place. The pounding of the drums, the pride and disgrace. You can bury your dead, but don't leave a trace. Hate your next door neighbor, but don't forget to say grace. And tell me over and over and over and over again, my friend, you don't believe we're on the eve of destruction. No, you don't believe we're on the eve of destruction.
That was the 1965 cut of Eve of Destruction by Barry McGuire. So the song references social issues of its period, including the Vietnam War, the draft, the threat of nuclear war, the civil rights movement, and turmoil in the Middle East. The American media helped popularize the song by using an example of everything that was wrong with the youth of the time. Due to its controversy controversial lyrics, some American radio stations claiming it was an aid to the enemy in Vietnam and banned the song. And the song was also criticized by conservatives. It was also banned by some British radio programs. But I think the song speaks for itself in that one. Our need to kind of pull together and do whatever we can to stop this madness that's going on. So anyway, here's one more song before the break, people. This is the 1962 cut of A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall by Bob Dylan. Stick around, people, and I'll tell you a little something about this, and we'll go to break, and you guys can step away for a minute. But this is Open Air Sonar.
Oh, where have you been, my blue-eyed son? And where have you been, my darling young one? I've stumbled on the side of 12 misty mountains. I've walked and I crawled on 6 crooked highways. I've stepped in the middle of 7 sad forests. I've been out in front of a dozen dead oceans. I've been 10,000 miles in the mouth of a graveyard. And it's a hard rain you're gonna fall. Oh, what did you see, my blue-eyed son? And what did you see, my darling young one? I saw a newborn baby with wild wolves all around it. I saw a highway of diamonds with nobody on it. I saw a black branch with blood that kept dripping. I saw a room full of men with their hammers a-bleeding. I saw a white ladder all covered with water. I saw 10,000 talkers whose tongues were all broken. I saw guns and sharp swords in the hands of young children. And it's a hard rain they're gonna fall. Oh, what did you hear, my blue-eyed son? And what did you hear, my darling young one? I heard the sound of a thunder that roared out a warning. I heard the roar of a wave that could drown the whole world. I heard 100 drummers whose hands were ablazing. I heard 10,000 whispering and nobody listening. I heard one person starve, I heard many people laughing. I heard the song of a poet who died in the gutter. I heard the sound of a clown who cried in the alley. And it's a hard rains are gonna fall. Oh, what did you meet, my blue-eyed son? And who did you meet, my darling young one? I met a young child beside a dead pony. I met a white man who walked a black dog. I met a young woman whose body was burning. I met a young girl, she gave me a rainbow. I met one man who was wounded in love. I met another man who was wounded in hatred. And it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard rains are gonna fall. And what'll you do now, my blue-eyed son? And what'll you do now, my darling young one? I'm a-going back out for the rain starts a-falling. I'll walk to the depths of the deepest dark forest, where the people are many and their hands are all empty, where the pellets of poison are flooding their waters, where the home in the valley meets the damp, dirty prison, and the executioner's face is always well hidden, where hunger is ugly, where the souls are forgotten, where black is the color, where none is the number. And I'll tell it and speak it and think it and breathe it, and reflect from the mountains so all souls can see it. And I'll stand on the ocean until I start sinking, but I'll know my song well before I start singing. And it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard, and it's a hard, it's a hard rains are gonna fall.
That was the 1962 cut of A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall by Bob Dylan from the album The Free Willin' Bob Dylan. The song is characterized by symbolist imagery of the style of Arthur Rimbaud, communicating suffering, pollution, and warfare. Dylan has actually said that all the lyrics were taken from the initial lines of songs that he thought he would never have time to write. Nat Hentoff quoted Dylan as saying that he immediately wrote the song in response to the Cuban Missile Crisis, although in his memoir Chronicles Volume 1, Dylan attributed his inspiration to the feeling he got when reading microfiche newspapers in the New York Public Library. He said, after a while you become aware of nothing but a culture of feeling of black days, of schism, evil for evil, the common destiny of the human being getting thrown off course. It's all one long funeral song. So a little deep on that one, so we're going to go ahead and take a break now and let you guys get up, stretch your legs, do that kind of thing, call the people you love, because you probably should. But anyway, thank you for listening to Open Air Sonar, and please join us for the second half. Bye-bye.
I just want to ask the question, who really cares to save a world in despair? Who really cares?
It follows a water crisis in Flint that began 4 years ago when the city started drawing water from the Flint River, exposing thousands of people to the toxic metal.
Mother, mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, brother, brother,
25, it's going to be a black male in a white t-shirt.
there's far too many of you dying.
14 million more
You
Americans
know
would be
we've got to
uninsured
find
next
a
year.
way
This deadly mass shooting
to
happened
bring
in
some
Florida
loving
at
here
one-
today. Yeah. Father, Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate.
picket lines and picket signs. Don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see what's going on.
July 13th, 7 a.m. One concert, over 60 artists, including Bob Dylan, Mick Jagger, Tina Turner, Tom Petty, and Madonna in the U.S., and U2, David Bowie, Elvis Costello, and The Who in the UK, banding together to halt the African famine crisis. Only one channel has all 17 hours of Live Aid, MTV Music Television. Join us.
This is it! 16 hours of the biggest rock and roll concert of all time. You're here, we're all here. Stay with us and you'll see every minute live on MTV.
From here in the USA and England, from Russia, China, Yugoslavia, Japan, there has never been anything like it.
It's 6:57 a.m. here in JFK Stadium in Philadelphia, and we are all up early to watch history in the making.
I'm Mark Goodman with Martha Quinn. We'll be here with Alan Hunter and Nina Blackwood. Now, Al is out in the stadium, and Nina is backstage right now. J.J. Jackson's at Wembley Stadium in London, and we're glad that you're with us. Nina.
Good morning. From now until the last roadie clears out of here, MTV will broadcast live. More than 60 of rock and roll's greatest artists will play on stages all around the world. They've dropped what they're doing, they've packed their bags, and they've flown in specially to donate their talent. Supergroups have reunited, all-star jam sessions have been scheduled, and Alan Hunter is out on the field with the crowd.
As you can see in here, it is crowded. The parking lot is full of people who have camped out all night long, and in just a few minutes, those folks are going to be in here. They're going to be streaming in to see history. The goal, to save 13 million lives and then to go on to wipe out hunger for good. So, it's just about time to start. Let's get back to home base.
All right. Alan, thanks. In a moment, we're going to be going to Wembley Stadium in London, where our guest VJs will be Prince Charles and Princess Di. And then it's the music. Sting, U2, Dire Straits, David Bowie, Elton John, plus an historic reunion of The Who and a grand finale with Paul McCartney.
Then at 9 a.m., 2 hours from now, we're going to start switching back and forth between Wembley and the concert here at JFK, where you'll catch Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, Bryan Adams, Eric Clapton, Madonna, Hall & Oates, Jagger and Turner.
Wait, Jagger and Turner.
We are getting ready to go over to Wembley Stadium in London.
Where you going, my friend? Have you forgotten when there was a time filled with hope instead of fear that's in your heart? There was a time when life was simple and innocent to start. Do you remember? Do you remember? Where you going, my friend? Have you forgotten when there was a time when false information wasn't so rampant in the sphere? There was a time when you weren't questioning everything you hear. Do you remember? Do you remember? And constantly being advertised, a life commercialized and disguised as happiness and pills and potions, fancy threads and cars and motions, hypnotized by gilded lies to line the pockets of so few, while hungry politicians politicians feed bullshit to the masses to ensure their status as it further divides the classes.
That was Marvin Gaye taking us out with What's Going On, and bringing us in was the Heartless Bastards with their cut of Revolution. Both very talented artists who are laying down some serious truth when the world needs it the most. You know, the shit that's going on in the world right now is just fucking asinine to me, but who am I? Just some lonely turd who sits in front of this microphone all day and talks shit. But anyway, the next song that I got for you people was released in 1985 on the Ultimate Sin album by Ozzy Osbourne. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Killer of Giants. This is Open Air Sonar.
If none of us believe in war, then can you tell me what the weapon's for? Listen to me, everyone. If the button is pushed, there'll be nowhere to run. Oh, giants, sleeping giants.
That was Ozzy Osbourne with Killer of Giants from the 1985 release, The Ultimate Sin. The working title for the album was actually Killer of Giants after the song, but Osbourne opted to change the title to The Ultimate Sin in the last minute. In 1987, after the various tours in support of the album had concluded, guitarist Jakey Lee was unexpectedly fired by Osbourne's wife and manager Sharon. The specific justification for Lee's dismissal remains a mystery, but bassist Salazan also departed, with Bob Daisley once again entering the fold. But the song itself speaks to the aftermath, or what would actually happen if the Soviet Union and the United States had gone into a full-on missile ICBM fuck-around. But thankfully, that didn't happen, and hopefully it doesn't happen now. It makes no fucking sense to me to do complete annihilation because you can't get your fucking way. These people are like children. Give me a fucking break. But anyway, we're going to go to another song now. So this is 1916 from their 1991 release. That's right. Sorry. I just had a brain fart. But yeah, it's 1916 by Motorhead from 1991. Okay, so stick around, people. This is Open Air Sonar.
16 years old when I went to the war to fight for a land fit for heroes. God on my side and a gun in my hand, chasing my days down to zero. And I marched and I fought and I bled and I died, and I never did get any older. But I knew at the time that a year in the line was a long enough life for a soldier. We all volunteered and we wrote down our names, and we added 2 years to our ages. Eager for life and ahead of the game, ready for history's pages. And we brawled and we fought and we hoard till we stood 10,000 shoulder to shoulder. A thirst for the Hun, we were food for the gun, and that's what you are when you're soldiers. I heard my friend cry, and he sank to his knees, coughing blood as he screamed for his mother. And I fell by his side, and that's how we died, clinging like kids to each other. And I lay in the mud and the guts and the blood, and I wept as his body grew colder. And I called for my mother, and she never came, though it wasn't my fault, and I wasn't to blame. The day not half over, and 10,000 slain, and now there's nobody remembers our names. And that's how it is for us all.
That was 1916 by Motorhead from their 1991 release of the same name. So that song is actually speaks of, World War I and, or as it was called, the First World War or the Great War or the war to end all wars. The conflict began on July 28, 1914 and ended on 11th November of 1918. It involved much of Europe as well as Russia, the United States, Turkey, and was also fought in the Middle East, Africa, and parts of Asia. One of the deadliest conflicts in history. An estimated 9 million were killed in combat, while over 5 million civilians died from occupation, bombardment, hunger, or disease. The genocides perpetrated by the Ottomans and the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic spread by the movement of combatants during the war caused many more millions of additionals to die worldwide. So that was an ugly one too, folks. And really, it's the population that suffers here, man. It's not these fucking governments. But, what can you do? Anyway, we're going to move on now to one of our last songs. Well, we got one more song after this. But this is Goodbye Blue Skies by Pink Floyd from the 1979 album The Wall. Please stay around, people. This is Open Air Sonar.
Look, Mummy, there's no plane up in the sky.
Did you hear the falling bombs? Did you ever wonder why we had to run for shelter when the promise of a brave new world unfurled beneath the clear blue sky? Did you see the frightened ones? Did you hear the falling bombs? The flames are all long gone, but the pain lingers on. Goodbye, blue sky. Goodbye, blue sky. Goodbye. Goodbye.
That was Pink Floyd with Goodbye Blue Skies from their 1979 album The Wall. So in the plot of this, a skylark is heard chirping. The sound of approaching bombers catches the attention of a child voiced by a young Harry Waters, and who states, "Look, Mummy, there's no aeroplane up in the sky." Oh, wait, no. "Look, Mummy, there's an aeroplane up in the sky." So the lyrics go on to describe the memory of the Blitz. Did you see the frightened ones? Did you hear the falling bombs? Did you ever wonder why we had to run for shelter? In the promise of the brave new world unfurled beneath a clear blue sky. The flames are all long gone, but the pain lingers on. I guess that pretty much states war down to the fucking T, doesn't it? But anyway, we're going to do one more song for you guys. This one is the quintessential protest song, I guess. This is John Lennon with the Plastic Ono Band and Imagine. Stay with me, people. Let's close this bad boy out.
Imagine there's no heaven. See as if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one.
That was John Lennon and the Plastic Ono Band with their 1971 release of Imagine by the album of the same name. The best-selling single of his solo career, the lyrics encourage listeners to imagine a world of peace without materialism, without borders, separating nations, and without religion. Shortly before his death, Lennon said that much of the song lyrics and content came from his wife Yoko, and in 2017, the process to give Yoko Ono writing credit, while not yet confirmed, was already underway. So, looks like she was going to get hers after all, right? Well, anyway, you know, it was one of the most performed songs of the 20th century. In 1999, it was ranked number 30 on the RIAA's list of the 365 songs of the century. So it went around, and you know, Imagine has sold more than 1.7 million copies in the UK. More than 200 artists have performed or covered the song, including Madonna, Stevie Wonder, Joan Baez, Lady Gaga, Elton John, and Diana Ross. So after Imagine was featured at the 2012 Summer Olympics, the song was re-entered to the UK Top 40 reaching number 18, and was presented as a theme song in the opening ceremony of the 2022 Winter Olympics. And the song remains controversial, as has since been its release over its request to imagine No Religion 2. So a lot of people think it's like a communist song or, whatever the fuck you may have you, but what can you do? And, the one thing that appalls me in the face of this madness is the fact that politicians across the globe, and even here in the free world, are using this horrific event for political gain and looking for somebody to fucking blame, which really pisses me off. Which shows you the depravity, the greed, and the quest for power, of the human, the modern human spirit. And I wish it wasn't that way, but it is. And I'm like I said, I'm not a religious person, but I do understand right from wrong, and I just don't understand when we became so seduced by this ideology of right and left politics. I honestly don't fucking understand, but we're just here to, figure out, all we do is try and figure out new ways to separate ourselves from one another. Maybe it doesn't have to be that way, Anyway, this episode goes out to the amazing people of the Ukraine. My heart is with you and the ones you love. And like I said, I'm not a religious, but I will pray this situation end sooner than later. Thank you for joining me on this, quest in trying to I wish we were meeting under better circumstances, but it is what it is. So I'm going to bounce now, but I'm going to leave you with a song we all need, and I'm going to surprise you. And may love and peace shine its light on the earth, and I hope to see you all again real soon. Bye-bye.
You